Yo, what's up guys? It's Bill here for Classic Rock and Metal Review. This is our monthly all Black Sabbath episode. What else can it be about here in April 2023 other than the upcoming Super Deluxe Edition version of Live Evil coming out June 2nd. Gonna delve into all things Live Evil. I suggest you pull up a chair, hit pause, go fetch yourself something to drink. Today, it's nice and bright and sunny out there, but a little surprisingly cool. I'm going to go with a highball. That's a go-to. If you're not sure what that is, ask Grandpa. All right, guys. Live Evil. We got a Super Deluxe Edition coming, so we're going to talk about the basics of the new release coming up. I'm sure you already know. We'll just go through that quickly. But we'll also go through the various editions of this album that have come out in the past. We'll go into the history of the album, why it was made. There was multiple reasons for this album being made. Yeah, they wanted to do it, but they sort of had to do it too. Interesting sort of history. Going along with Speak of the Devil, there was kind of a sort of agreement between the two camps at that point. Pretty cool. Talk about what the four members of the band have to say, looking back on the era. What my dream version of this Super Deluxe Edition would be. We'll do that at the end. Kind of something fun. And I think you'll be surprised at my history of this album, or with this album, being that Sabbath's my favorite band, and for most of 40 years has been. I'd say Floyd was probably my favorite band for a solid decade, maybe 15 years, but good 25 of these years, Sabbath's been my favorite band. Like I said, you'll probably be pretty surprised about my history with Live Evil. So, what are we getting on June 2nd? You can pre-order it right now. It was $100 for 4 albums. At first, it was $60 for 4 CDs. Now I saw that the CDs have come down to $48 as a pre-order. What are you getting in there? CD package comes with a 60-page book. The album, being a bigger book, I'm sure, 40-page version of the same book. Mob Rules tour poster in each. Mob Rules tour program in each package. The first 2 discs, whether it's albums or CDs, will be just a 2023 sort of remaster of the original album as it was. The discs 3 and 4 will be an all-new mix, basically a remix if you want to call it that. So that should be interesting, I guess. I mean, honestly, when they did that with the Dio Holy Diver box set, I mean, unless you know these albums by the back, like the back of your hand, then I'm not sure, most people are going to notice a big difference. But who knows? The one question I have is, how are you doing a new mix of a live album? It's not like Iommi laid down 4 different guitar tracks on stage for you to pick from. So I guess you can tweak the levels. That's really probably all you can do. Who even knows, Another interesting aspect about the new mix, they list the cities where each song was recorded. As you all know, that was never really released with the original album. So for all we know, these are the same exact versions that were on the original album. However, if we think back a couple years ago when we got the Volume 4 Deluxe Edition, we got what they called Live in the UK, and it really took me some digging to figure out whether any of these songs were actually different versions than what were on Live at Last. So, I really kind of wanted to check it out, and I kind of got off track and forgot all about it until I saw this release coming out. Kind of reminded me about digging back into the past a few years to see what's up. And in fact, I think 3 of the songs on Live in the UK 73 are actually alternate versions compared to what's on Live at Last. So that's kind of interesting. Maybe we'll get that here. Not even sure yet. None of us are. Anyway, at the end of the episode, I'll give you my version of what this box set, Super Deluxe Edition, should have been, could have been. I'm not knocking this new release. I'm just, I have my own version of what this should have been. I'm sure a lot of you have the same thoughts. So let's get into some history of this album in the first place. Live Evil, history of it. So if you go back to the early 80s, it's kind of hard to believe now, But at the time, both Ozzy and Sabbath were sort of just scraping by financially. Ozzy couldn't get signed at all, and eventually, took his only offer, Jet Records, the offshoot of CBS. It was a 4-record deal. Sabbath, they were still with Vertigo in Europe and Warner Brothers in the United States. But basically, they were still sort of reeling from the history of bad deals, trying to do their own management for a couple of years after the whole sabotage lawsuit era. The drug use continuing to, ongoing. And basically just waning sales and popularity. Technical Ecstasy sold less than Sabotage. Never Say Die less than Ecstasy. Even with Heaven and Hell sort of reinstating the band at the top. Great sales with that one. Still overall not exactly raking it in. In late 81 or 82, somewhere around there, both bands, Ozzy and Sabbath, each had a reason to do a double live album. Even though they were sort of bad-mouthing each other in the press, they were able to agree on a way for each of them to get double live albums released. First thing that happened was they regained all the rights to their old music. Sold Our Souls for Rock and Roll in 76, compilation, and Live at Last in 1980. Band saw zero money from either of those releases. They were released by, I think, Patrick Meehan, former management, who got paid for them actually, while the band didn't. So that album really pissed the band off. They recorded that in 73 to put out and didn't think it was good enough at the time. So also, with Sold Our Souls only being 5 years old, or another album of greatest hits, wasn't exactly a novel idea at the time. Back then, unlike now where people will put out a new compilation every 3 or 4 years or more, back then you just didn't do that. You put out a greatest hits when you had enough hits to make a greatest hits album. You didn't do your next until you were lucky enough to have another 10 hits to put out another album. So it wasn't really a great idea. Band also, of course, having Ronnie James Dio in there, wanted to put something out that had old material and new material, showcased their sort of newer singer. So that's why a live album appealed to Sabbath. And as far as Ozzy goes, his contract with Jet Records was for 4 albums. Luckily for him, it didn't stipulate that they had to be studio albums. It didn't stipulate that they had to even be new material. So having Diary and Blizzard under his belt, a double live album of old material totally fit the bill for him. He doesn't need to write anything new. He just needs to record some concerts and release a new album. It would fulfill his contract obligation and basically make him a free agent at the height of his popularity, and the payday, a big payday finally for Ozzy, who really, honestly, had been at the top for a couple years now and really had to tour his ass off to make some bucks. So the other thing I thought was really interesting about this era and those 2 double live albums happening, you had the issue of all the back credits being to Ozzy, Tony, Geezer, and Ward. So both camps came to an agreement that both camps could do their live album with no obligation to the other party as far as royalties and payments. Each side would have carte blanche on the catalog to choose songs for the live album. So, I'm not sure that's a deal that would fly today, but that's what was made at the time. I'm not even 100% sure that deal still is in place. Who even knows? I'm sure it's been redone. I'm sure Ozzy's seeing some money from Live Evil sales. I can't swear to it. I don't know. I'm just saying at the time, there was a deal in place that let both camps use the whole catalog to choose songs for their live album. You could see how the situation only became more competitive between the 2 camps, despite that agreement, with both parties doing a double live album basically at the same time. Now, Ozzy, of course, does the totally non-traditional method of recording just 2 lone shows. And we're at the Ritz in New York City, September 26th and 27th, 1982. He's able to get this thing turned around and released on shelves November 27th of 82. So just 2 months later, this thing is out. Sabbath, meanwhile, go the traditional route they record at least 5 that we know of, 5 different shows on their Mob Rules tour, spring of 1982. Of course, the mixing of the album, sort of legendary, is being suggested that that's basically what brings about the end of the band, or the end of Dio and Appice with Sabbath. In my opinion, the mixing of Live Evil wasn't really the issue. I think it's just what happened to be going on at the time when things were coming to a head. Iommi's on record admitting that his drug use at the time didn't have him in the right frame of mind. That he was listening to an engineer tell him that Dio was turning vocal levels up when he wasn't around. So there's that. Iommi said as much, I think, in his book Iron Man. Dio, his version is that they showed up to mix the album, one day, because all 4 band members were supposed to. Geezer and Tony never showed, so they just, they let it go one day. The second day it happened again. They just decided to start mixing the album. They weren't trying to do it behind their backs, not doing drugs. Appice and Dio would show up for work and work. That was their take. And, Iommi and Geezer would stop by in the middle of the night and hear what Dio had done during the day. So that's Dio's take on it. And you know what? Being the sober one, I tend to believe him. Appice's version of it, he actually, this is something I read more recently, last few years, is that the band was sort of separating during the Mob Rules tour. In the beginning, things were okay, but for some reason during the tour, and most likely the drug use, I think he just probably doesn't want to call them out on it, but Geezer and Tony sort of had their own separate sort of party going on. They actually started staying sometimes in totally separate hotels, motels, and going to the concerts, obviously in different limos and stuff. So they stopped hanging out, basically, for whatever reason. But that happened during the tour. The mixing of Live Evil wasn't until the fall. So wheels were sort of coming off for months before the mixing of Live Evil. Geezer, I saw that interview with him on VH1 Classic. This is years ago when the Dio years came out, so that's getting to be a long time ago now. But I remember him saying, he calls Live Evil Live in the Studio Evil because of all the touch-ups and past, patch-ups that had to be done afterwards, or were chosen to be done, It's just crazy, man. When you listen to bootlegs of these concerts, they sound great, What the hell's all this patching going on for? Anyway, the album eventually was released spring of 1983, about 5 months behind Speak of the Devil. So it outsold Speak of the Devil in the UK and Europe. However, I think Ozzy just a bigger attraction in the States, and also beating Live Evil to the racks, to the record stores, outsold Live Evil in the US. So my history with Live Evil, guys, there's a reason you don't see it back there on the shelf. I've never owned Live Evil. As a matter of fact, I've never even heard Live Evil. With the exception being that I downloaded a couple of the songs to put on some Sabbath compilations that I made, in my iTunes, what have you. Voodoo and Sign of the Southern Cross with the Heaven and Hell thing and all that. So 2 songs on that album, and I think I heard at least part of War Pigs 35 years ago. That's it. 80% of this album or more, I haven't heard it. So I'm really, really stoked about the Super Deluxe Edition because now it's just, I'm going in all barrels, I can't wait. Unlike some people that probably, were pretty disappointed that there's no new material here, I totally get that. For me, it's not the case. I've never heard this thing. I just, it's been in my Amazon cart, my eBay cart multiple times, probably a half dozen times at least. For whatever reason, every now and then I just clean my carts out. There's so much shit in there I can't decide what to do, so I just clean them out and start over. And just never pulled the trigger. And, in a way, I think I've always kind of liked it like that. I have something from the old days in the back pocket. One day I'll get it and hear it. So obviously here comes the day, obviously. So I think that's a really interesting thing, it's just, I just happen to have this channel now. So, I think it'll be an interesting thing. When this thing comes out, I'm going to the Black Sabbath monthly episode in June will be a full-on review of Live Evil. And guys, I'm not going to really be reviewing, I'm going to listen to both versions, yeah. But I'm going to be reviewing Live Evil you're going to be hearing the review from a first-time listener, all right, other than a couple of songs. So I won't be able to tell you how much better it is than the original version. I never heard it. I'll compare the two versions. I always listen to something twice before I review it. So I'll listen to the original version, that's the first 2 discs. Then I'll listen to the 2023 remix, and then I'll do the review. So hang around for that. That should be cool. I'm really psyched about it, you know. I think you'll find it interesting. At least I do. I doubt many people on YouTube are going to be reviewing the music. You're going to get all your 1,000 unboxings that just show you the swag. Hardly any, you know, comments on the music. It's kind of why I started the channel, guys. There wasn't enough of the reviews of the music in these deluxe editions. Anyone can hold shit up in the air and show you a poster. I don't buy these things for that stuff. That stuff's cool. I love it, you know. I'm not going to sit here and say it's not awesome. But I don't buy these things to get, you know, a tour program. I buy them for the music first. So let's go over the history of the different releases of Live Evil. Back in '83, you had the 2 LP or 2 tape version. Ran 83.5 minutes. The original CDs, I guess mid-'80s. In the UK, they omitted War Pigs to fit it on that, you know, 80-minute CD. In the US, they gave you a double CD. So that was kind of cool. In '96, though, we got some tinkering. The single CDs, they removed Ronnie's, you know, stage banner and song introductions. And, you know, which, if you read the reviews on the single CD, it's a lot of people that used to have the older version on record and tape. They say it removes any sense of it being live, so I can understand that. 2010, we got the Deluxe Edition, which is all they did was just restore Ronnie's talking. And of course you get War Pigs on those versions too. They're 2 CDs. So really what we're getting with the new edition is just the regular edition, you know, at least the first 2 discs. And it'll be interesting to see what they come up with for a remix. Like I said, it's just bizarre. A remix of a live album doesn't make any freaking sense, you know. So let's go back to '83. Look, I didn't have it, but I remember seeing that bitch in the record store rack. I guess when it was brand new. And I don't think I even had any Sabbath albums at that point, honestly. I think that was to come in a few more months. I think it was more like end of summer '83 when I finally got Never Say Die. And I think I ended up a few months later getting Paranoid. But let's back up. I think it was in Sam Goody's at the Chamonix Mall when I first saw Live Evil. Now, this is, in my opinion, this is one of the best album covers ever by anyone. First of all, what a great idea to make a character out of every song on the album, you know. Just remember flipping from the back to the front. Like, I don't even think I caught it at first. I'm staring at the song titles and flipping back and forth and just trying to, you know, most of them are obvious, but a couple of them, you know, who's this guy that's going insane? You know, like, what a great friggin' album cover, man. For that reason alone, I think I'm going to, even though I'm more of a CD guy, I think I'm going to go for the vinyl with this deluxe edition, just to have the biggest version of that cover I can have, you know. It's that great. The way that Live and Evil, you know, are like mirror images of each other, like inverted like that. Just how cool can this band possibly be? To notice that those 2 words, just another notch in their awesomeness belt. Friggin' killer. I went through all of that with the vinyl multiple times. You know, I picked it up the first day I saw it. I feel like in the same store I was there again a couple more times. Just killer. Didn't buy it at the time because, like I said, I don't think I had any of the Sabbath regular albums yet. I already had Speak of the Devil, so I really kind of had most of those songs, so to speak. It really didn't make much sense for me to spend $12 or $15 on that at the time. So let's get to what my dream version of this Super Deluxe Edition should be. It's pretty obvious. You know, there were 5 complete shows recorded for the Mob Rules tour that we know of. Most likely 3 more, okay? because we get the 3 partial shows, New Year's Eve 81 and the first 2 days of 82. Hammersmith Odeon. So we get the combined 3 shows that get put together as one concert in this 2010 Sanctuary version of Mob Rules Deluxe. I already talked about, I think it's April 22nd, Portland show that we got with the 2021 Deluxe Edition. That's a great concert. Sounds great. Love it. So you know what? I'm not going to be too greedy. We're going to leave all those shows just be where they were. We're going to leave them alone. They're not going to be on our new version because you know what? We do already sort of got them. Now I know we don't have the full versions of Hammersmith, but you know what? You know I like having things in the back pocket. That'll be for another day. All right. One day we'll get the full shows from Hammersmith. So, as far as the swag, I'm totally fine with the swag we're getting with this. Okay. My Super Deluxe Edition would have the same stuff. You get the poster, you get the Mob Rules tour program, and 40-page book, 60-page book if it's CD. Music, discs 1 and 2, to me, just a remastered version of the original album. I don't need a remix, Let's just preserve the regular album the way it was. Maybe you want to do a remix, separate CD or something. All right? Unless you're a mega fan, I really don't think you're even going to pick up a difference. So let's just honor the original album with a nice remaster. All right, discs 3 to 10. Of course, it's going to be the 4 complete shows of things they're giving us pieces with, at least with the new remix, and maybe they already have with the original album, who knows. Fresno, California, April 18th. Seattle, Washington, April 24th. Dallas, Texas, May 12th. San Antonio, Texas, May 13th. All 4 shows complete. That's how you do it. All right, Thin Lizzy and UFO knew what was up. Sabbath, come on. You paying attention? Come on, guys. All right, last disc. You can make it a DVD and a Blu-ray if you want. So discs 11 and 12 if you want to call it that. At least give us something. At least finally give us the Live Evil tour films. Live Evil in concert, filmed at Dallas, May 12th. To be released, never released, shelved. There's a 13-minute version on the bootleg market that has fragments. Fragments of 7 songs and some fragments of some of the solos. Only amounts to 13 minutes. I don't know how someone snuck out fragments, but that's what happened. Pretty disappointing that this video is not part of this release because, honestly, really makes it seem pretty doubtful we'll ever see it if it didn't come out now. I never say never, but, not great news. What the hell? It's supposed to be a Super Deluxe Edition, right? Come on, man. Even Metallica knew how to do a Super Deluxe Edition. Vinyl, CDs, bootlegs, bootleg vinyl, DVD, cassettes. That's how you do it. We're mega fans. You're Black Sabbath, for God's sakes. Come on. That would have been my dream box set, all right? Original album, all 4 shows complete. And finally, the Live Evil tour film. There is Heaven and Hell from that show, from that video that never got released. About 4 minutes of it anyway on YouTube. I think it's Heaven and Hell, just the Heaven and Hell first part of the song. Pretty killer. It looks legit to me, guys. It doesn't look like the black and blue footage at all. Different camera angles and all. Real super close-ups of Geezer and Iommi. Not a lot, but here and there you can tell it's not black and blue. So that's kind of cool. Go check that out. Maybe I'll leave a link for that. And someone has a little fake trailer for Live Evil on there. That looks kind of bogus, but worth checking out. I don't know. At the end, it makes it look like maybe it's a bootleg company putting it out. However, it never came out. So totally just dreaming. Guys, that's going to do it for this episode. All things Live Evil. There you go. The history. What's coming up with the Super Deluxe Edition. Why the band had to do it in the first place. Kind of cool backstory there. If you can like or subscribe, guys, we do up to 10 episodes a month talking all things classic rock and metal. A lot of bootleg talk, because we're cool like that. And a lot of drinking. You know what? This is going to be only my second sip of the episode. All right. Well, let's have to do some I have to make up for it when we pause this video, which we'll do right now. Guys, catch you later. Peace out.